Well, hello there, and welcome to an It's Another Day weekend update. I'm Jim Harrington.
And I am Bill Knight. Hey, it's the weekend. Feeling like ice cream. I want to go get some ice cream.
You kind of look like ice cream, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, well, I sometimes feel like a melted puddle of ice cream, but
sure
that's
you
a whole
do.
different thing.
We have been watching the news since our last show, which was just yesterday, and so many things to talk about. But things seem to be in a strange place for our country, unlike, I think, any time in history. Think of how many stories have entered the news cycle and then disappeared quickly. We're being thrown all these different things from all these different directions. We were talking about something yesterday, and I think it's something we should continue talking about, and that's the deep state.
Evils.
The deep state, yeah. And many people think of it. Well, many people think of it as one deep state that is vying to control our world, and in some places actually controls it right now. And you said something yesterday which was eye-opening.
Well, I mean, my question is, because I throw questions out there just to provoke thought, and we act like we're the only nation that has a deep state. Maybe we are not the only one with a deep state. There's a deep state America, a deep state Russia, a deep state China. Oh, gee, a deep state Canada and the UK. We have, when people grab for power, they have wealth, they grab for power, they have an immense amount of power and control, and they believe that all things rotate around them. Mm-hmm. So if you have all these forces out there, which one are we answering to, or are they all at play?
We should point out to people that most people think of the deep state as the government behind the government you don't see. They are the people who don't change when administrations change. So a Republican will come in and have 4 years, and you think, okay, things are going to be different now. But underneath the surface, underneath what we see as citizens and civilians, there's a strata of people in our society that don't change. They don't disappear. Some of them have been there for decades. Some with incredible amounts of power. Some who, when they get an order from the president, look at it, smile, and say, ignore this. And their underlings ignore it.
Well, in the United States, you have to look at the president of the United States. He is a part-time employee.
Right.
And the fact that that he's there for 4 years, he's there for 8 years. He's done. He's out of here. He's temporary. Now, Congress can have the ability to be around a little bit longer. Senate can be around a little bit longer. But it's when you become the president, you're there for a short time, and then it's Happy Acres retirement land, get your president library, and get out of here.
Yeah.
And I would say that Congress, the ones that are around for a while, and the senators, the Mitchells and stuff like that, even Biden when he was a senator, probably answered to the deep state because they are kind of locked in. And we've allowed this because we vote for the familiar name, the name we're used to. We really don't pay attention to what it is they're doing. Mm-hmm. And if we don't like what they're doing, they blame it on somebody else. And we go, oh, okay, I get it. Okay. And we keep these bastards around.
We were looking this morning before the show started at some different facts about Social Security, and it was interesting to see that the average pay is $174,000 a year. Yet these people who've been around in government all their lives getting that kind of a salary between, let's say, maybe if you're in Congress for a while, the salary goes up to $225 or something. But it's in that range. But then these people leave Congress and leave the Senate, and they're millionaires, multi-millionaires. And you have to ask the question, but nobody seems to ever ask the question, is where do they get their money? Now, people may say, well, it's in their campaigns. They raise all this funding for their campaigns. Some will raise $10, $15 million. They'll spend maybe $2 or $3 million. So
the rest is theirs.
The rest is in a kitty somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But see, it's a way for them to legally get graft money from people who need favors from them. For example, if you are an industry that depends upon defense contracts and you have access, you control some committee that is in charge of allocating contracts, well, it might do you well to put a couple $1 million into the coffer of the head of that committee for his reelection, because he may then look favorably towards you when they're discussing contracts in the near future.
And you got to ask yourself, we elect somebody as a senator, they go in and they become part of the armed forces. They head that up. What qualifications do they have? None.
Absolutely not. They have none. Zero.
Yeah. Well, so why are they calling shots?
Well, look at this tragedy that just happened February 3rd up in Ohio. And I say tragedy. It is. What expertise does Pete Buttigieg have? None.
None whatsoever. He can't
even fix potholes.
Well, he can blame it on Trump, saying, well, it was past administration problems and legislation he did. Okay, if you want to go with that narrative, Pete, okay, I get it. But you just said there's going to be 1,000 more accidents in this year, and you've been in office for 2 years. So if they were problems that you knew about, why didn't you fix them?
If people are wondering about that 1,000, this is Buttigieg. This is Pete Buttigieg yesterday.
Look, rail safety is something that has evolved a lot over the years, but there's clearly more that needs to be done, because while this horrible situation has gotten a particularly high amount of attention, there are roughly 1,000 cases a year of a train derailing.
He makes it sound like, hey, what's the big deal, friends? We get 1,000 of these every year. I mean, it's sad, but I mean, get over it. There's a lot more coming.
Mm-hmm.
This guy is unbelievable, and he still has not gone. Now, the interesting thing, and we were talking about this, is President Trump. God bless him, man. You may not like the guy, but the guy, he's for the people. He announced that he's going to go to East Palestine, Ohio. He's not much he can do. He's not the president anymore, but his presence will inspire people. Well, I say there's not much he can do, but as soon as he announced, within hours of announcing that he was traveling, FEMA reversed the decision and said they were going to send disaster relief funding to the town.
They don't want to look bad.
They had said, no, we can't do it. As a matter of fact, I think Buttigieg said, well, maybe it was Karine, but one of the people in the administration said, well, FEMA really is not designed for the kind of problem we're having in East Palestine. They go for a different type of disaster, which is baloney. They are the Federal Emergency Management Administration. And but President Trump just saying, I'm going to be there, obviously got them to get off the mark and do something.
But, Buttigieg wants to blame it on Trump. But you know what? Before Trump was ever a blip on the radar, and even president, and we were having the same problems. So get off that story. It's a dumb story, but that's what they like to do. They like to point fingers and blame to the mess that they made.
Yeah, that's true. That's all they're good for. And to this day, to this moment, Buttigieg has still not visited East Palestine, Ohio.
Well, he doesn't know what to do in his role of a job. Now, if you ask Biden, we have the most diverse administration.
Oh, gag me.
Well, okay. You got Pete Buttigieg, who used to date women, but now is gay.
That's true.
So you really can't attack him because he's gay. It's politically incorrect. So I'm not attacking him, but I am saying that he does not have the experience
what if
for
he's
the job.
What if he's just an incompetent numbskull? I mean, can you attack him for that?
He is, but that's a whole different thing. But then you look at him. You look at Karine Jean-Pierre.
You can't attack her.
Yeah, again.
Yeah.
She got appointed because of skin color and her
sexuality.
Yeah. Okay, but where is her experience? I don't care.
Well,
about
look at the guy.
I don't care about her sexuality.
Look at that clown.
She's not qualified.
How about that clown they had in the nuclear energy department? The guy who wore scarlet dresses and high heels. It was bald, and it was stealing luggage out of airports.
How about the new Supreme Court appointee? What's her name? I
know you're talking about
Ketanji Jackson, or something like that.
Who cannot describe what a woman is, can't define what a woman is.
Yeah, if she can't do that, then what qualifies her for anything there? Well, skin color. Look at Kamala. Kamala is a box of rocks that she's chosen by her gender. Can't attack that. And chosen by her race. Can't attack that. I'm not attacking that. I'm attacking the fact that she's dumb as a box of rocks. And if I were a rock, I'd be embarrassed to be compared to her.
If I can define what a woman is, and I can I be the Supreme Court justice? Because I am obviously more qualified than Ketanji Brown, whatever, Jackson, or whatever.
You have two strikes against you right away.
Okay, what's that?
Well, maybe three.
Oh, good.
You're white, you're male, and you're old.
Oh, gosh. Oh, yeah, that's true. Well, I mean, Joe's older than I am, considerably older than I am. I mean, he's president, and they want to have him run again. Everybody but Jill wants him to run again.
Yeah, you know why she doesn't want him to run again? Because I think she understands that the jig is up, and take your money and run, because the wagons are circling.
Mm-hmm.
Joe wants to sell off another, 124 million barrels of the strategic reserve. And he's going, well,
we'll have no more oil. We're going to be running out of reserve.
It'll be the lowest in history. And he's going, well, I have a 3-point plan to buy it all back. Well, he had a 3-point plan to buy it back from when he sold it the last time, and he's been selling it forever. And nobody would sit there and sell it to him for what he wanted to buy it for.
That dumb son of a gun gets up there, I think it was yesterday, and he bragged that we have the most diverse administration in the history of our government. The most diverse, not the most qualified, mind you, which you would think would be more important than diversity. You would think that you would want the smartest, most experienced people in positions running our government. But to Joe Biden, that's not important. That's irrelevant. What's important is we have the gay guy who likes to wear women's clothes and has a purple Huron stripe. He's in the energy department. And we have another guy who, for 50 years of his life, was a guy. Suddenly he felt that he was a woman, and they made him an admiral.
Because of that,
and they changed his name from Richard to Rachel, and now he says this clown says in front of the world he's proud to be the first woman elected to this position. The first woman.
I don't think he even got the operation. I think he wears a wig and pasties. I'm sorry, that's a pervert.
Well, this guy has the audacity to stand up in front of real women who've earned it. I mean, there are women out there. Don't think for 1 second that there aren't qualified doctors, female doctors, who could do what he's doing better than the way he's doing it.
Absolutely.
But no,
he wants to take the parents out of raising their children and give it to the schools or the state, especially if they can identify them as possibly, not definitely, but possibly that they're transgender or LGBTQ. If there's a chance that they could be, then you as a parent don't have any right to have any say over that child. It needs to go to the state.
This guy is shameless, and Biden is evil for putting him in that position. And if I were a woman, I would be really ticked off. Maybe I should call myself a woman, and then I could be ticked off.
Well, you could go down to the store and get some pasties and a wig.
Well, that would go over well in my house. What has happened to Dad?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. You have to
and
laugh.
Your daughters could go My Two Moms. It's a TV series.
Oh, yeah. My granddaughter she'd be mortified, and I wouldn't blame her. But listen, we are in a difficult situation as a country right now. We have, they haven't done one thing since this administration took office that has helped our country and helped your life. And if you are sitting there as a Democrat and you're listening to this program, first of all, I applaud you for that, because you're at least giving it a shot. But there isn't something I don't think that you can think of that your side has done with this administration that has truly been beneficial to the country as a whole. We're a big country. Maybe being diverse is a signal to a minority of our population, and no matter what you may say, it still is a minority of our population. The majority of our population is, straight, and they have a traditional family and things like that. But this administration is ignoring all that. It's ignoring all of the normal things that go on in our country, and it's highlighting the things that are the minority things, the real minority. Now, listen, I'm not against helping everybody work from the same level, a level playing field. Everybody has equal rights. Everybody has equal opportunity. I believe in that. That's what our country is all about. Whether you're gay, straight, black, white, Indian, whatever your background, you should have the same options. But it shouldn't be the focus of the entire administration. There are so many other major problems. Look at our economy. They have let it tank. It's down the tubes. We are in such dire straits economically. You were talking about before the show, a little while ago, about a guy who goes to a hamburger store and he buys hamburger to make his hamburger, and at the store he finds out it's gone up like 300%, and so the hamburgers that he was selling in his store for like $3.50 are now going to cost the customer maybe $11 or $12 a hamburger.
Well, way more than that. Yeah, if you paid $9 for a burger, and all of a sudden the cost goes up.
$27.
He puts in his order to get his supplies. He puts it in this afternoon, and before the order is complete, the market rate has gone up. But and when he gets it, oh, wait a minute, I thought I was paying $9 a pound. I'm paying $27 a pound.
Yep.
And then he can't go to his customers and say, well, market rate, because they'll look at that and they'll run out the door. And he's also competing with the government with a free check. And he's saying, no, you come in, you work for this, you work hard, and you can get what you want. That's the American dream. They've taken and shafted the American dream.
Oh, absolutely.
And they're giving you a temporary check right now, paid for by promises that they can't keep. It's a house of cards that is about to collapse. And, here we are selling off the oil reserve again. Now, he's saying it's because of the Bipartisan Debt Reduction Act of 2015, when we were to sell 124 million barrels over 10 years to keep up with their spending. Well, he sold that and then some, but I think to take the pressure off of him, he's going, well, this is to complete that promise that it was mandated by Congress. And I go back to 2015 and I look at Burisma, I look at Biden, Hunter, and what was going on with the Ukraine and the oil companies and Russia and China and the $11 million the Bidens made. And I'm sitting there going, there was money left on the table, and that's what you're looking at, Joe. You don't give a rat's ass about this country or anybody here. You're selling us down the pipeline and cashing out what you think is yours, and it is not. We need to go ahead and drop articles of impeachment and get rid of them right now, and Kamala, that laughing hyena, with them.
It won't do any good because it'll take 2 years to. We should do it just for the formality of it, but they won't impeach him because both sides don't want to go through that process again. They don't. I heard Kevin McCarthy say, "We're not going to impeach him. We're going to let the people make the decision in 2 years," which I thought was pretty sad. But because the Democrats don't talk that way. Here's something we were talking about: the deep state. And if you don't think there's a deep state, you've heard about George Soros. George Soros has his money into all of these liberal things, like he will buy the campaign of a deep leftist attorney who wants to run for a district attorney, and the job may pay the district attorney $150,000 a year, but Soros will put $2 million into the campaign so he gets it, and then he'll tell this deep state attorney, we want to see some real socialist, he may not say it that way, We want to see some real liberal maneuvers in your position, and he does that. He lets he lets criminals out of jail who committed heinous crimes, and then they go out sometimes and they grab a rifle and they go into like the Michigan State University and they shoot a bunch of people, killing 3 of them. I mean, and you're saying what? Yeah, that happened. A Soros-backed attorney let some guy go who had gun charges against him. He let him go. Guy went out and got some more guns, and he committed some more crimes. But, we don't hear as much about that in the news because the news is leftist. They are not neutral. They're not what they used to be. They're just not. But Soros, this is in the news today. You can read it for yourself. He wants to take control of the Earth's atmosphere to, quote, halt climate change, end quote. He wants to halt it. According to Fox News, Soros spoke to the Munich Security Conference on Thursday and boasted that he had discovered a process where white clouds are created to reflect sunlight away from the warming areas to prevent ice sheets from melting. Ice sheets melting in Greenland, in particular, he claimed, could doom human civilization. Now, the plan that Soros and I guess his scientific expert that he's working with, a guy named King, Sir David King, are advocating for it's called solar geoengineering. And this idea it won't save civilization. As a matter of fact, it may do quite the opposite. It may kill millions of human beings and animals because it will block out the sunlight and it'll interfere with the growing processes of crops. It will throw off the cycles of animals. Animals will starve because they won't be able to get the food that they're normally used to getting at certain times of the year. Yeah. And also, a lot of people will not only starve to death because they won't get food, but some of them will freeze to death. Mm-hmm. Now, we talked about this last week. We talked about there's a school of thought that says that the earthquake in Turkey was man-made, and people say, "Oh, don't be ridiculous! An earthquake man-made? Come on!" But there is a science out there, and some people say that we've been working on it in this country since 1997, where we can control the weather in certain areas, in certain ways. And also, we can do things like vibrate the ground. And we do that with sound. And there's a school of thought out there that we actually vibrated the ground in Turkey because Turkey had done something with regards to NATO. They had gone against I guess they turned their back on something NATO wanted to do, and Turkey being an important NATO member said no. And they were going to show Turkey. Now, you'll note that the areas that had the earthquake were very rural areas in comparison to some of the bigger cities, like Istanbul or someplace like that, It was almost like they were showing Turkey, hey, we can do it here, and if you don't shape up, we can do it in the bigger areas.
Yeah, I believe that they can. I mean, the world is made up of tectonic plates. And if you don't believe me, it is a living, breathing, real, live organism. And, you look at cities that have disappeared under the ocean because, you can get into the volcanology of everything and how things work, but you can change the natural frequency and cause shifts in the tectonic plates, which cause the earthquakes, which cause volcanic eruptions, all kinds of devastating things. And if you cause an earthquake, you're probably going to cause an eruption somewhere too. Mm-hmm. This is an active planet. And right now we're in the process of the center core, the magnetic core in the middle. It rotates a certain way, and every so many thousands of years, it changes directions. It reverses itself. It's right now, it's reversed. And it's in the middle of that, which has effects on our climate, the planet, everything else.
So we have George Soros talking about changing the weather, blocking out the sun. We have a school of thought and a theory that we can create earthquakes.
We're playing God is what we're doing.
Yeah, there's also, I don't know whether you're aware of this or not, but there's something called high-level holographic imaging, where,
That's been around for a while, actually.
but we've gotten good at it. People
Yeah.
say, what are you talking about? A holograph is something you may have seen. And I used to walk, when I worked at CBS in New York, I walked down to Grand Central at nighttime, and there was a building, I'll never forget it. You walked by it, and in the window they had a holographic image of something, and it was very, very unsophisticated. It was 1977, and it was the image was red, but the one thing that made it unique is you could literally look at this image from all these different angles, and it had a 3-dimensional, 4-dimensional. You could walk around the thing, and you would have seen an object. Well, they've gotten really, really sophisticated with this. Some concerts and some shows will have like animals swimming in the air above the audience. That's holographic imaging.
They actually had holographic concerts. But imagine you have an invasion force coming, and they could use holographs to project an even bigger invasion force or to throw you off when the real force comes in from a different angle. And I say that only because with everything going on in the world, the dynamics and, we got to support the Ukraine. And I'm not saying that we need to not support them, but I don't think we need to be, throwing all our money there, which we don't even have. We're
Right.
bankrupting ourselves. I think we're beyond the bankrupting. What we've done to our economy, we can't pay back. Our children can't pay back, and our children's children can't pay back. So how the hell we're going to get out of this hole? I don't know. The only way that I know is a war.
People
You
may
got
ask.
China that's wanting to, Russia that's wanting to.
People may ask, why do you talk about holographic imaging? Well, there's some people who believe that some of the things that are happening in the skies right now above our country are holographic imaging. We're being primed as a people. We're being trained to look up and see things that aren't usually there. And it becomes normal to see objects that are unfamiliar to us in the sky.
Yeah. And well, now going to the balloon thing, supposedly they've stopped looking for the remnants of the stuff off of South Carolina. They've got everything they needed. The one that went down in Canada that might have had the apparatus, or not in Canada, actually in our
South Carolina.
Yeah, the South Carolina, but there was one that was up in Alaska too.
Yeah,
It
off
went
the
down.
coast. Yep.
Yeah, that had the hanging apparatus that you could put hypersonic missiles on, which apparently we didn't find, and we're going, there's nothing there. We've stopped looking.
Well, that's what they tell us.
Yeah, I'm going like,
We're not being told the truth about a lot of stuff, and I want to end this weekend update thing with a story I can relate to. Getting back to the derailment in Ohio. I live approximately 55 miles southeast of East Palestine, Ohio.
Right.
The weather from in our area, much of it, especially in the wintertime, will come down through Cleveland, off the Great Lakes, come down through Cleveland, and it will go over East Palestine, East Liverpool, that area, and it will swoop into southwestern Pennsylvania, which is where I live. And it will go over our area, our house. It will hit the Laurel Highlands, kind of bounce off the mountains of the Laurel Highlands, scoot up towards northeastern Pennsylvania, going toward over Harrisburg, up into the Wilkes-Barre, Scranton area, over New York State, into western Massachusetts, and out towards Boston and over Connecticut, because it's a big swath. It's not a narrow path. It's huge, by the time it gets up there. I only mention this for a reason. I went out to my car yesterday, and I have a white car, and there was a dark film all over it. Now, I had mentioned that the day before when I ran my wipers, I had seen an oily film on the windshield. But when I looked at the white car, there was this stuff all over it. So I took a cotton swab, swabbed it out, and the stuff was black. And it was sticky. And so I figured, well, wait a second. Just to be certain, I'm going to go to the car wash right now. I didn't need to wash my car. Heck, it was a cloudy day and it was supposed to rain, but I washed it anyway to get the stuff off it. And I went back to my driveway and I looked at it, and the stuff is still there. I mean, it didn't wash off easily. Now, I think that is vinyl chloride. And I also, you sent me something last night, and I'll let you finish. You finish this part here. From a friend of yours sent an article, and up in Connecticut.
Hartford, Connecticut. It's Fox 61, so you can look this up. What happened is some of the residents are going, hey, there's this weird residue on my car, and it's oily. It wouldn't be that thing from Palestine, would it? So Fox got in touch with NASA.
Yeah, of course.
The National Weather Service, and they said, oh, no. There was a strange weather pattern over Oklahoma, and that's dust from Oklahoma. Well, number one, it's not dust on the car, and they're going, besides, this happened 2 weeks ago, and it's 600 miles away. Well, Oklahoma's a lot further than that, so if dust can travel that way, so can the oil in the sky.
Yeah.
And so, the people are not buying it, and it's in the weather pattern going up the eastern seaboard. So if you do have an oily, sooty stuff in the car, just keep this in mind.
And remember something, that if you notice, like me, that substance on your car yesterday or the day before yesterday, it doesn't mean that it happened that day. You may have just noticed it. It may have been sitting on your car for a week and a half, and you just weren't paying attention.
In your house, in your house, in the air filters. You could.
What did you tell me yesterday?
Right now.
You told me yesterday, and it was good advice, and I did it as soon as I got off the phone with you.
Yeah.
You said change the filter on your furnace, because it's, you're sucking air in from the outside and blowing stuff out the inside. You're breathing this stuff in, and you said when you do it, you might want to put gloves on so you fold that filter up without touching it, because it's a nasty stuff. I have printed out, and I haven't got time, but I printed out a whole list of things about vinyl chloride. It's a mutagen. It causes things like lung disease, cancer. It decreases the male libido. Great. It causes miscarriages and birth defects. This is readily available online, but yet we had our EPA turning around to residents, citizens of our country, saying, it's okay. It's been 2 days. You can go back now.
In the immediate area, livestock, cows, chickens, pigs are all dying. People are sitting there going, I've got anxiety. I've got heartburn. I feel like, my lungs are burning. I can't breathe that well. I got, a kidney infection. Those are all symptoms of this, my friend, and you can get it 600 miles away.
On a very personal basis. I am an older guy, and I have, there's certain problems, but, respiratory. And I've had some issues with, over the past week, with my lungs, with my breathing. And you said up in Wilkes-Barre, you had the exact same thing.
Well, I've had it. My 20-year-old son has had it. My neighbors have had it. They've all had it. We're right in the swath. Now, does that mean we're going to drop dead tomorrow? No, but that does mean that it's in the air and it has an effect. It's not the short term that worries me. It's 10, 15 years down the road when I'm sitting there going, okay, I should be okay, but, age has everybody's number.
Yeah.
You don't need to add to it, and this is crazy. So you change your filters, you wipe down your counters, and be careful.
I'd like to know who it was. What official was the guy who said, we've got 250,000 gallons of this stuff sitting in a channel right next to the railroad tracks. Let's just light it on fire.
Yeah, that was a brilliant move.
And someone will say, I read some of the technical information about vinyl chloride, and some will say, well, it'll dissipate. No, it's around for a long, long time. It may be in different forms. And what they haven't told you, what about the other chemicals that were on that train? And there were other chemicals on that train. What is it that we're dealing with? We know about the vinyl chloride. Did they have something else that was worse? God bless the people of East Palestine. Pray for them. But also, God bless anybody downwind from that, because they may be dealing with issues, and none of the officials in our area or your area are talking about the possibility of this. And if you swallow the government line, they'll make it sound like you're being silly. Oh, come on. Don't be hysterical. It dissipates in the air. You can't see it anymore. The cloud is gone. They think you're stupid, folks, and you're not stupid. You are smart.
Why do you think they put these plants that make that stuff in poor rural cities in the middle of nowhere? Like down in West Virginia, where they do manufacture the vinyl chloride. It's a gas. It's chlorine gas. And it's used to make pool cleaners, all kinds of different things. But
PVC piping?
Yeah, you got to wonder, maybe we're messing with stuff that we don't need to be messing with. But either way, they have it. And they've had leaks before. You know, we're talking about the railroad incidents, and Buttigieg is trying to blame it on Trump. And it went on before Trump, and it's been going on afterwards. The only commonality is Joe that I see in all of that. But the stuff is bad news. And there was a train, they like 133,000 gallons just like 5 years ago. It got loose in the air and pretty well wiped out a little town that nobody knows about. And it turned out the tanker car had a crack in it. And they filled it up and they put it on the track and they said, roll her on down the line. Hey, we got a leak. Oh, yeah, there's a crack in the tank. Come on.
Watch President Trump. He's a smart guy. He's a multi-billionaire. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes up there and he has a personal aid system in place where he helps out the people of this town. This guy, he is you may not, if you don't like him, you're really shortchanging yourself. Yeah, he's got an ego. All of that other stuff, put that aside. You don't like his tan. You think he plays golf too much or whatever. Put that aside. The guy he's out for you. He's out for you. And all I'm saying is this. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes up there and he starts taking care of some of the problems himself, fixing them.
Unfortunately, even though he's a very rich man, he doesn't have the money to do it all. And we've got to get smart with our resources and what we do and why we do things. We got to get smart with our politicians and sit there and get the right officials in and the wrong officials out. You know, you brought up the thing about the Social Security, and I only mentioned it to you because, they're saying Nikki Haley's going after that because it's an entitlement. It's not an entitlement because you pay 6.2% tax, and so does your employer. It is your money. So quit spending our money on stupid stuff and let us have our money. And if you do take it away, then you better quit taxing us at 6.2% because that is a savings account. And let's be clear about that.
You probably don't remember this, but about 30 years ago, they ran an experiment. Social Security ran an experiment. They took the town of Brownsville, Texas, and they said, okay, if you are an employee of Brownsville, Texas, the government down there, you can have a private retirement fund. You instead of taking the money and forcing you to put it into Social Security, they said, for Brownsville, you can do your own thing. See what happens. And the people in Brownsville found a retirement fund that paid 5 times what Social Security paid. I mean, if you were walking out with Social Security, it paid you maybe $2,200 a month. They were walking out with one that paid them $10,000 a month. It was light years difference. Now, this was about 40 years ago, this experiment. They don't talk about it anymore. It's like poo-poo that. Maybe what these people on the conservative side are saying is that there might be something which is a better plan in the private sector for your retirement fund that guarantees you a certain income. I mean,
right.
The important thing is the word guarantee. If you're going to get money guaranteed from the government and that money is like a pittance, $2,000 a month or something like that, where you're just squeaking by, or if you're going to get $10,000 a month from a private insurance company that guarantees that no matter what, even if they have a fund together, even if they went bankrupt, that fund would still exist. Which one would you want? And I leave it at that. Hey, we have done it again, my friend. Another. We could go on forever. If you want to go on.
There's a lot more to talk about, but this is the weekend update or edition, whatever we call it. And that means we don't talk that much. We just kind of highlight the things that were talked about during the week and if anything popped up. And
the reason why we really do this is because Bill and I sit here over the weekend and we get frustrated because we see so much garbage in the news. And we just got to put our 2 cents in, I mean, and that's what we do.
And, look, you got a lot of pots that are boiling on the stove and the lids are, popping up and down on it. And we're just waiting to see which one blows the lid off first because there's a lot of major things that play out here. And no matter what, we're going to have a mess.
Please
very soon. Join
us on Monday. We will continue it in our normal form of an hour program. You can call us 833-538-7868, 833-538-7868. That's our number. We don't answer it personally. It's an answering machine, but you can leave a message if you would like to advertise on our program. We are looking for advertisers, but we don't want to have just any old advertiser. We want to have an advertiser that would be a good fit for the program. Because we don't want to be a surprise to the advertiser, and we don't want the advertiser to be a surprise to us.
Mail at itsanotherday.com or mail at crnamerica.com. You can call us. You can drop us an email. You can invite us over for dinner because we do this as a charity.
Oh, yeah.
What's for dinner, by the way?
You don't want me cooking. I'll come over to your place. You're the chef.
Oh, geez.
Hey, buddy, have yourself a great weekend. We'll see you on Monday.
Pod roast sounds good tonight.
Ooh, that sounds great.
Yeah, it really does.